What's up guys, Ian here, and in this video I'm going to review this Tangzu Shimin. It costs just 35 US dollars and it comes in a very nice package, I might say. In fact, I would give this IM the package of the year award for a 35 US dollar IM. Okay, hi guys, my name's Ian. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I do mostly audio product reviews, and if you guys are interested in this type of content, do consider to subscribe to my channel and click on the bell so that you get notified of my future videos. Alright, so let's jump straight in. Alright, this is a very nice box, alright, for 35 US dollars. The box is really nice and sturdy, very hard. It's got good quality, well built, and on the inside is well laid out. You have nice labeling as well. It shows you what goes where and where you can get your stuff. Nicely thought. Okay, the design is nice, the packaging is nice. This is a nice box. Okay, now on the back you have some specs of the IM. Let's just very quickly go through it. This is a 10mm dynamic driver. It's got a sensitivity of 109. The impedance is 18 ohms and the frequency is 20 to 20,000 hertz. Okay, so very nice box there. Now let's talk about the accessories that it comes with, and man, the amount of tips, the ear tips that it comes with, in total, right, in total it has got 6 pairs of tips as spare, okay, and 1 more pair on the IM itself. Okay, so in total you have 7 pairs of ear tips and 2 types, right? So you have the wide bore and the narrow bore. Let's just look for the narrow bore ones. Okay, so if you compare, right, this is the wide bore and this is the narrow bore. In fact, I wouldn't say this is narrow bore, this is normal. All right, this is pretty normal. This is the wide bore, so it's just a little bit wider. Okay, there is a difference in terms of sound, right? So if you want a brighter sound signature, then I would suggest to go for the wide bore. If you want more bass, go for the normal bore. Okay, so very nice of them to give so many accessories for 35 US dollars. Now the cable, all right, so this is a very different cable which I've seen from some other budget IEMs. This cable is really nice. It's not flimsy, right? It's 4 cores. It terminates with a 3.5 headphone jack, straight type, and the Y splitter is milled from metal, and it comes with a chin slider which is also milled from metal. And the ear hooks, all right, the ear hooks is really nice. If you look at the ear hooks, usually most of it's transparent sleeve, silicone sleeve, but this one is black, so it actually blends in with the color of the cable itself. So the attention to details. Now talking about that, the attention to the quality of the 2-pin connector, this one maybe they missed out, but it is plastic, right? And it's just a little bit more generic type of 2-pin connector. So I wish this was metal so it blends in, and gold, all right, color matching with the IM itself, but you know, it's not, it's plastic. So yeah, just a very small note there. Okay, but other than that, this is a pretty good cable, right? For the price, again, 35 US dollars, very nice and stiff cable, and it's kind of got this rubbery feel to it. So it doesn't stick, it's not sticky, but it's got this rubbery feel to it, so it's not like slippery and sloppy. It's not, it's nice and stiff, and it works well, okay, with the IM. Right, so that's for the accessories. Let's just put them one side and let's take a look at the IM themselves. They look very pretty, right? The entire shell is made out of metal, and if I'm not wrong, is electroplated gold, right? So it comes in 2 colors. What I have here is the gold color, and there's the silver color, and it's really nice. It's really nice. Okay, take a look at the entire shell itself. It looks like a gold nugget, right? The front of the faceplate looks like a dragon's scale with a shiny back, right? This obviously is a fingerprint magnet, but once you clean it, it looks really nice and shiny, and it looks really premium. Okay, and with this on your ear, people may think that you're wearing a piece of jewelry. On the inside, it's got a fin, right, on the top part of the shell, and the inner shell is entirely made of metal as well. Okay, the nozzle is inserted in, so it's not part of the shell, and the filter is a tuning paper filter. It's black. Okay, it's not metal, and there is a vent right here, and that's about it. So and the 2-pin connectors here. So looking at this shell, I mean, it's got some heft to it. Feels like a gold nugget, really, right? And housed inside is a 10mm dynamic driver. Okay, single DD, right? So very nice looking shell. I like the looks of this IM. Now, fit and comfort. They fit my ears pretty well with this fin. In fact, it's pretty generic in terms of the shape of the shell. Fits my ear pretty well. Doesn't wobble that much. It does wobble a little bit because the nozzle is a pretty long nozzle. If you look at this, it's not long, it's normal, but it's a little bit too long for me, so that this doesn't really go entirely into my ear, but it's fine. It doesn't wobble that much, right? It does give me a good seal. At the same time, it does feel comfortable wearing. I can wear this the entire day, no problem. Okay, so fit and comfort, pretty good. Okay, now let's talk about the sound. So obviously I have measured this IM, so let's take a look at the graph. But before we talk about the frequency graph, let's talk about the technicalities of these IMs. The soundstage. Now, soundstage, they are wide and sometimes to the back, and they sound a little bit hollow. So I would say this soundstage is a little bit different from some other IMs that I've tried. In fact, I'll compare with some IMs that I have. It's got some kind of a reverb and hollowness to the soundstage. The instruments, they sound really far from the center stage. Okay, so they're not like closed in, they sound spaced out. In fact, a bit too spaced out to a point whereby it sounds a little bit artificial type of soundstage. The layering is not there as well, so not much of a layering. You can actually feel that it's actually on the same plane. Okay, but it's far. Okay, so you have two effects here. One effect is that all the instruments are like on the same level, same plane, same layer. At the same time, these instruments, they sound very far back. Okay, so that's the effect that I hear. All right, the imaging is okay. I can pinpoint the positions of the instruments, not all the time, but most of the time. Okay, but it's okay, it's pretty reasonable. Okay, for the detail retrieval and resolution, okay, the detail retrieval is fine. All right, I can pick up nuances of the sound. In fact, it's pretty good. All right, let me correct myself there. It's pretty good for the detail retrieval, and the resolution is okay. Right, it's not the best, but it's okay. It's good enough for a $35 IM. Okay, so for technicalities wise, it's a little bit on a weird side for me for the soundstage and the sound presentation, the overall package that is presented to me, to my ears for that matter. And it's not that I don't like it, it's a little bit different from what I'm used to hearing. And what I hear on this is more of like a hollowness and echoey type of soundstage. It sounds like I'm in a cave instead of in an opera house or even a living room. Okay, so it sounds like more like I'm in a cave. Okay, So that's the technicalities of these IEMs. So let's talk about the sound, right? So the frequency of this IM is more something like a U-shaped type of tuning, right? It's pretty close to the Harman target, as you can see here. Okay, let me just turn off the EDA. I'm going to compare the EDA later, but take a look at the just the Shimin Li itself. You can see that is pretty close to the Harman target, except for the treble region, which I will talk about later. Okay, let's talk about the sub bass first. Okay, so sub bass, they sound thumpy, all right. They have that rumble there. The extension of the rumble is okay, it's pretty good, but with that rumble combined with that sound stage which I mentioned earlier, I feel that the rumble is is a little bit distant, and it's not a very warm. It's warm. Okay, this tone, this IEM has got that warm tone, right? It's got a warm tone. The note weight is a little bit hollow. Okay, as I mentioned, it's not a light note weight. It's a hollow note weight. It's like something is missing in the note weight. Okay, so the rumble is there. It's just that the note weight is a little bit hollow, and not a very engaging type of rumble. Okay, it's there. Okay, I can hear it. I can hear the rumble. The extension is good. It resonates very well. It's got that warmth there. It's just not an engaging type of rumble. Okay, the mid bass. Okay, so mid bass is just a bit above the Harman target. So listening to it, the mid bass is impactful. In terms of the mid bass, right? Mid bass, the impact can be felt. The thump can be felt. The warmth is there. Okay, it's not a very lean type of impact, but again, it sounds a little bit non-engaging. It's like, okay, I'll tap you, right, and the impact is there. The tap is good, but it's like the amount of tap is being applied with the type of tap is like it's like a stick, and a stick with a hollow core. There's no core in the middle of the stick, and it's like tapping and hitting you with that stick. So it doesn't feel painful. It does not engage, but you can hear that the mid bass. You can hear the drums. You can hear the impact of the bass. Okay, but it's just not engaging. Okay. So that's for the mid bass, right? The mids, right? So mids, as you can see, as I mentioned, because this is a slight U-shaped signature type of frequency, so the mids are a little bit recessed, okay? And obviously instruments and the vocals, they are a little bit laid back as compared to the bass and the treble in the entire mix. Now, adding to that, it's laid back. The instruments, they sound distant, right? As I mentioned when I spoke about the sound stage, they sound really far apart. Okay, so the engagement is not there, and the instruments, and because of that, the clarity of the instruments is being affected, right? So I can hear, like, the violins is playing in the background. It's not supposed to be in the background, right? It's supposed to be the star of the show, I guess. Or the electric guitar, right? It's supposed to be in front, the solo when they are strumming away. It should be the star of the show, but it's not. It sounds far apart. I'm not too sure why, but this is what I hear, okay? For vocals, right? Male vocals and female vocals, they sound okay. And male vocals, they have that good tone to it. But the note weight of that male vocal, it sounds a little bit light again, on the hollow side, right? The male vocals, they have the authority there. They're present in the mix. It's just that the presence is, I wouldn't say lacking. It's not lacking, it's there. It's just that the presence of the male vocal is not a very engaging presence. Okay, for female vocals, same thing. I mean, they don't sound as laid back as it looks, right? But the female vocals, they are pretty forward, okay, and they have that presence, but there's no sparkle, right? And the sound of that female vocal sounds a little bit spaced out. The sparkle is I was drowned out, I guess. I don't know, but listening to this, the brightness is being spaced out, I guess. So I think the soundstage plays a very big part in the overall presentation of the entire frequency of this IM. Not too sure what they did to this IM to make it sound like this. I mean, looking at the graph and comparing with some other IMs, this should sound good, right? But it sounds pretty different from what I have with me. Okay, so let's talk about the treble, right? So treble is not a really bright IM, all right? You can hear it is forward, it's present, okay? The presence is there, but it's not a bright IM. But that's one thing good. It's not shouty, it's not sibilant, but you can hear that, you know, the cymbal strikes and the hi-hats, they are just a little bit muted, and adding to that, they sound a little bit far apart, a bit distant away from the center soundstage. So treble wise, it's not really exciting to me, right? It's not a very exciting soundstage, and presence of the treble to me in this region. As you can see, this region here, the roll off is pretty okay. I'm not saying the roll off is not good. It's pretty natural. It's just that the sound of that treble, it sounds a little bit synthesized, and it's a little bit muted, okay? So cymbal strikes, they a little bit short, okay? It's not a very natural type of strike. So yeah, I think, you know, the treble here sounds, it's not dark, okay? Don't get me wrong, it's not a dark treble, but it's close to it. It's pretty close to a dark treble. Okay, so that's my overall impression of this Tangzu Shimin Li for $35 guys, right? With the amount of accessories and the quality of the accessories that it comes with, especially the ear tips, the cable, I think is well worth the money. And if you are just starting, or you are intending to start this audio hobby, I would think that this is a value for money starter kit, all right, for you to try out, all right, and get a good quality earphone, and, you know, listen to like a V-shaped type of sound signature, which is almost close to a consumer type of listening experience, okay? And, you know, it suits well for pop songs, you know, R&B, EDM, heavy metal, those type of songs. But if you really want to critically listen to your music, then these won't be able to do that for you. So for beginners, yeah, I would recommend to get this one. For the price, you know, for what you're getting, is really good quality. Okay, so now let's compare this Tangzu Shimin Li with some other IEMs. Let's start off with the EDA, right? This is the EDA Silver, which is the balanced EDA, right? The balanced one. Let's just go back to the graph again. Let's see, Tangzu Shimin Li. Okay, so let's take a look at the graph. Okay, looking at the graph, they have almost similar graph. Okay, the bass is almost the same, the mid bass is almost the same, and the treble, I would say that is a little bit of a mixed bag. But in terms of treble, I would say the EDA balance, they sound a little bit brighter than the Tangzu Shimin Li. Okay, now let's talk about the technicalities. Okay, when comparing these two, right, the EDA balance, it's got a closer or smaller soundstage, but more realism, right? They sound real, they sound natural, a more natural type of soundstage. Instruments are in their position, right? So if the drums are right in front, it's supposed to be there, it's there. Vocals are in front, they are there. But for the Tangzu Shimin Li, they are spaced out, right? So you can't actually identify or position the instruments in these Tangzu Shimin Li, okay? But in terms of sound quality, right, in terms of the resolution and detail retrieval, they are almost the same, okay? I can't tell the difference. It's really, it takes a really precise hearing to really hear the difference in terms of detail retrieval and the resolution of these two. I mean, if you really want me to pick one, I would pick the EDA, right? Because well, the soundstage itself affects the resolution and what I am perceiving from that IEM. Okay, but in terms of sound signature, they both sound the same. It's just that they sound very different when I listen to the two of them side by side. Okay, now next up is the CCA CRA Plus. So let's take out that graph. Okay, CCA CRA Plus. And let's take a look at the two graphs together. Maybe I'll just change the color of this so that you can see the difference. Okay, so the Tangzu Shimin Li is purple and the CRA Plus is green. So as you can see, the bass and the mid bass is almost the same. It's just that the CCA CRA is just a little bit more, okay? But the Tangzu Shimin Li has got more presence, alright? So in terms of the treble, it's got more presence in the treble. But the CCA CRA Plus, it hangs on a little bit more, so it sounds brighter, right? And whereas the roll off for the Tangzu Shimin Li, it rolls off pretty early, right? It's earlier than the CRA Plus. So again, right, the technicalities of these two, right? Soundstage again is a little bit different. Okay, this one, as I mentioned a few times, it's got a very unique soundstage. All right, this one sounds more closed in, more intimate, and it's got a more natural soundstage. And the positioning and the imaging of the instruments, they are more precise as compared to this one, because this one is hollowed out. I can't really pinpoint exactly where the instruments are. Okay, so technicalities, I would prefer the CCA CRA Plus. Okay, so looking at the graph alone, you can't really tell them apart. Okay, they may look the same, but they don't sound the same. There's a little bit of nuance and details that make these two apart. Okay, now let's take a look at the last one. All right, so this is not a really fair comparison, but I just want to prove a point. Okay, so this is the BQEYZ Autumn. Let's just open up the graph. Okay, and this is the comparison chart. And again, as you can see, and this is the bass with the bass filter, right? Is exactly the same in terms of the bass quantity and the frequency that it produces. It's just a little bit more. I mean, the Shimin Li just got a little bit less mid bass as compared to the Autumn. All right, the Autumn also has got a very similar roll off for the treble, and the treble itself, the presence as well. Tangzu Shimin Li has got more presence for the treble, so it sounds more forward, but the roll off is almost the same. Okay, so it boils down to technicalities. Okay, for these two, this one has got quite a wide soundstage as well. So I would say these two has got nice wide soundstage, right? But in terms of the overall package soundstage, this one has got more of a circle, right, enclosed area. more like opera house. Okay, but this one, as I mentioned earlier, is like a cave, so you can actually hear reverbs and echoes from the entire soundstage. But this one, it sounds clean. It's got good distance as well. As for this one does have good distance as well, but this one has got that distance at the same time, good production or reproduction of that soundstage as a whole. Okay, but these two, they sound almost the same, right? But bear in mind, this one is very much more expensive than the Shimin Li. So actually, I shouldn't be comparing this two, but I just want to prove a point that soundstage for these two, they sound the same, but it's just that this one has got a more enclosed soundstage whereby you can actually identify the instruments in that space. Okay, whereas for this one, it's like an endless cave whereby it reverbs back, and you can actually hear that reverb and that echoey sound from this soundstage. Okay, so that concludes my comparison and also my review of this Tangzu Shimin Li. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and also learned something from this video, and if you did, do consider to give this video a thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So I hope you guys have a great day ahead, and I'll see you again in my next video. Cheers.